Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and even though this is still the catch-up month of April, we are not neglecting the series that we have not fallen behind on, and this, of course, includes Akatsuki no Yona, also known as Yona the Dawn, Chapter 269. Now, as you all know, I had my misgivings about the weight of the marriage proposal. And I've had time, we've all had time, to sit on it. I'm still not convinced. I still don't think that, and there wasn't really a lot of pushback about that necessarily in the comment section. I don't think that was, a great opportunity to do it, to really shake things up. But once again, still, in my opinion, lacking that major oomph that gives every really stellar moment, whether it's Hawk and Suwon, whether it's Zeno with his own inner turmoil, whether it's Yona and Hawk, that gives these moments in this particular manga such weight, these big character moments. This one just felt like wham bam thank you ma'am, rather than built up to and really larger than life, like most of the character building moments have been, or the major proclamations have been. So, but that being said, chapter 269 is still a fine chapter. And by the way, it's the Suwon show. Alright? See, and this is my problem. This goes, and it's not really a problem with chapter 269, but it still falls flat. The marriage proposal here is no longer star of the show. We got it for one page, and then this chapter, which should have, continued that major, bombshell drop, season or finale sort of drop idea, cliffhanger of the movie, because we know there's a sequel coming. That big thing should have been all the rage and all the focus right here. And Suwon completely steals the show. Half a chapter later, once again, I think it was out of place. I don't think it was handled correctly, because we get through this chapter, and once again, it's a fine chapter, but we continue it on with the whole, alright, so he proposed. Hawk's just like, what's going on sort of idea, and Yona does the usual stuff, and it's nice banter and everything like that. I can't believe you, what are you saying? He's like, wait, your mind went blank? Of course it did. It's like, don't tease me like this. I was just trying to think about a way that would let me stay with you forever, and I figured, you disappearing all alone? No. Please promise me that you won't die, and that we're solid, because you can't back out. If you agree to marry me, well, you're kind of stuck with me, So, but I just made up all that context to explain why this is okay, and these are the exact words. Hawk would literally say that. And maybe it's a translation thing, but I don't think it's clear. I don't think this came across very, very well, because that's what Hawk should say. It's like, well, here's the deal. Regardless what happens here, whether we make it out of this, deal alive or not, marriage is kind of a you're stuck with me for life sort of thing, eh, princess? So I figured, hey, if you agree to marry me, doesn't matter what actually happens here in this realm or in our kingdom, you and I will be together forever. Like something sweet, you know what I mean? Like that just came right off the top of my head, and that's better dialogue than what's going on right now, We need Hawk to be nonchalant about it, but also very sweet and caring and sort of almost childlike. And maybe I'm projecting a little bit of my own views on marriage. Once again, I'm a, one woman type of dude. And once it's settled down, that's it. I don't really believe in divorce, but even if you get the divorce sort of idea, I don't believe in remarriage. I shouldn't say I don't believe in divorce. I don't believe in remarriage. I'm sort of like, well, anyways, doesn't matter my opinions on that. That'd be a long-ass thing. But my point is that this just doesn't work as well as it could have. The dialogue felt more clunky and less Hawk-like. Yona's reaction is just sort of what we expect, but nothing new under the sun sort of idea. It's just like, okay, so she starts crying and, you make me happy and stuff like that. Then the dragon gods attack. And then it's like, okay, all hell is going to break loose and stuff. And at first, I had no idea. I thought I was missing a page here because they're like, you did well, and now you will come with us, and all this stuff. And Hawk manages, even with the dragon gods and stuff. And once again, I thought this was the power of Hawk. Hawk grabs Yona's arm and basically be like, hey, like, I ain't letting go, sort of idea. I'm the darkness dragon, motherfucker. You know, I was hoping for some badass line about him being, you guys might be the dragon gods, but I'm the darkness dragon. You know what I mean? So they also mention that Hawk is officially, I think, here is considered, maybe this is a translation thing, but in this says, you have been the shield. Now, I always thought that Hawk was more of the sword, but the shield works too. Is this meant to be the shield of prophecy and Suwon's sword? We've all, basically, nobody else has really come to the conclusion. Suwon and Hawk are definitely the sword and shield, but who is who? Well, apparently Hawk has just been labeled as the shield here. It is what it is. But yeah, I was really hoping. So that was a bit of a drop there. So that's cool, I guess. But it felt like at a place, like it's not this big reveal. You, who have been destined to be the shield that protects the Crimson Dragon. It was a throwaway line. You've been an adequate shield for now, you know. Like, it almost feels like if you translate that, like you've been an adequate bodyguard. You know, if you change the word shield, you would not know that this had anything to do with anything. So I'm hesitant to say this is official confirmation that Hawk is the shield of prophecy, because it's one dialogue throwaway line given no weight. You know, this is my problem right now with some of these chapters. You know what I mean? This isn't major. This is more nitpicking. But once again, is that confirmation or not? And should we be making a big deal out of it or not? You know, I have no idea, you know, and that's the problem with the paneling, the pacing, everything going on in the last couple chapters has been kind of odd in that way. So, and as I said, I wanted Hawk to bring up that fact. Like, I wanted him to say, like, this should have been the big reveal here. It should have been shield. Nah. He goes, I'm her shield, her sword, I'm everything, but first and foremost, I am, you know, her darkness dragon, or something like that. You may be dragon gods, but I... You know, he should have had some cool one-liner about being the darkness dragon. I am the fifth dragon. And the dragon goes, what is he talking? Fifth dragon? He's like, yeah, I'm motherfucking Hawk. It works because he's Ichigo levels of cool. You know, he's a badass. Like, we can believe that level, you know? So, it felt like a lot of wasted potential, and this felt very generic, cookie cutter, I guess. They go on, and he's like, oh, I never promised you this. And it's like, in that case, we'll take your arm. It's like, no, you can't have him. I'll never let you go, and stuff like that. It's like, great, I'm glad to hear it. Like, I almost gave up. Well, thank you, blah, blah, blah. It feels very telenovela, very soap opera-y. Nothing that anybody couldn't write after watching, you know, 6 episodes of Young and the Restless. You know what I mean? So, there was nothing here that felt like them to me. And I was so glad when this finally happened, because not only, as I said, the marriage proposal thing felt at a place, the way it was handled, and now this clunky dialogue here, and the missed opportunity about the whole shield thing, here, all of a sudden, it was let go, and then all of a sudden the dragons are screwed up. Now, granted, I do think that this could have been a potential moment for Hawk to be like, I'm the darkness dragon, boom! And this was under his own power. But I like this a lot better, and once again, I thought I missed a panel. I was like, what is going on here? What is happening? And all of a sudden, Hawk and Yona are fine. The dragon gods are gone. They're like, wait, what? What's going on? Of course, Hawk still can't really breathe in this heavenly air. You know, a heaven where a dude like Hawk, constitution is like the air is miasma to him. Just gonna point it out, doesn't sound like much of a paradise that I would want to go to. Just saying. Not trying to flock on any religious people here, but just saying. If me, you know, and I got asthma since I was a kid, so if, you know, I'm just saying, like, you know, if Hawk, with his great heavy stamina and constitution, is having trouble breathing up in here, I'm just saying, you know. So, anyways, so this all happens, and Hawk and Yona continue, like, they're like, okay, what's going on, blah, 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 the usual, you know, regular dialogue here, which is fine. It's like, the dragon gods, they gone, we don't know what happened, what's going on, they were screaming, did you do something? And Hawk says, well, no, it wasn't me, however, I think I know who was behind it, and once again, this is my problem. whether you agree with any of my criticisms of any of that dialogue leading up to this chapter, this page, halfway through the chapter, completely stole the show. Suwon is the star of the chapter. And that's a problem because we just literally got our big marriage proposal. This is Shojo. The romance moments, the I will be your girlfriend, the first kiss, the first time they sleep together, the engagement, the marriage proposal, all of these things, the beach episode. Okay, that's more fan service, but still the beach episode. These are the core things that matter. It doesn't matter if you're doing a high school delinquent manga. It doesn't matter if you're doing a fantasy one like Yona. But if you're shoujo and your romance, these are the things that you dedicate. These are your big things. These are your season ending, season finale that people rave about and give a 9.5 out of 10. And the marriage proposal, while clunky, might have been somewhat acceptable and saved by this chapter if they had lingered on it. But because of the way it was handled, Suwon right here just stole the show. He is absolutely right here, the star of the chapter, because this shit was fucking, like, this was bold. Bold's not even the word I'm looking for. This was badass. Yeah, badass is good. That's closer. This was just, like, this was cold. This was determined. This was, I ain't taking no prisoners. This is the level that we wanted to see from Hawk. This is some Hawk level shit pulled off right now. It's like, oh, gods? Stab. Yeah, what are you going to do about that? This is your precious dragon god's corpse. The fuck you want to do about that, bitch? Like, this was like, oh yeah, we're done. We took off the training wheels. We jumped into the deep end of the pool, and we know how to swim, motherfucker. You know, like, this was awesome. But once again, took away from the giant moment that is a shoujo manga. So, I think the writing handling was handled very poorly, but after this, everything is fucking fantastic. It is absolutely amazing. Sorry for all the curse. I'm just saying, I'm very passionate about this chapter because I'm just frustrated on normally the huge moments in a romance for someone who's read so many novels and TV shows and grew up with my nan and my mom watching, you know, all the soap operas, you know, as a kid. The big moments are always, as I said, the kiss, and when they sleep together for the first time, and when the engagement happens, and the wedding, and all these things are the major episodes that people want to rewatch, you know? So, when we jump away from that to then steal the show with something like this, Suwon is amazing, I love these moments, but now it's taken away from that, and now there wasn't even a full chapter to dedicate to the marriage proposal. Just saying. But after this, the Dragon Gods come out in this beautiful damn shot. And it's eerie, it's awesome. The line work is absolutely amazing. And we see that Zeno was there holding the chalice. And Suwon was just like stabbed with the sword and stuff. And it's like, oh, immediately the dragons are just like, you stabbed him. You stabbed the Crimson Dragons. But you can tell, like, they're hyperventilating right now. They are just, they don't even know what to do with themselves. They're like, how dare you? How dare you violate this and stuff? And Zeno's like, wait, they really came out for this? Holy shit. Suwon goes on to explain that the corpse of the Crimson Dragon King has resisted every war, disaster, attempt to burn it for 2,000 years. Not a single debris has even fallen on it. While this whole mausoleum has fallen around, nothing has touched the body of the Crimson Dragon King. So clearly, you know, it's like, however, so it's still got a crazy level of divine protection from the dragon gods. However, this sword of the Crimson Dragon King was brought from the heavens. If anything's going to do damage to his corpse, it's going to be this thing, the thing that Zeno was going to kill himself with. So it's like, oh, this will distract him, and he is playing the long game. Him and Hawk didn't have time to discuss strategy. He's like, well, I will drag them out and buy you time here on Earth. So Hawk, bring our princess home, sort of idea. And I'm like, and see, that's the type of dialogue I've been looking for. I don't get why it feels so clunky, the end of last chapter and into this one with Yona and Hawk. I don't get why it doesn't feel organic or natural here with Suwon. This is absolutely Suwon's voice. This is absolutely how he would say it and how he would think. And, he's going through the thing. It's like, well, I tested a theory. Stab. I guess it worked. Very cold, very calculating. He feels nothing. If anything, he resents this corpse. So he's like, fuck it. So this is your Pope? Stab. Or maybe that's in bad taste right now. But maybe that's in bad taste considering what just happened. But, well, I blame Vance. Anyways, yeah, so the divine protection of the Coca Kingdom stems from the divine protection of the Crimson Dragon King, of course. And we have no idea what will happen when we attack the remains, but it's like, this is the only way we're going to be able to give Hawk the time to save Yona and get Yona out of the goddamn cup. So, which, out of context, isn't that funny? Just saying. Yeah, we need to get our main character out of the cup. That sounds that out of context, that sounds weird, right? But anyways, the yellow dragon inside of Zeno right now is raging as well, and Zeno's like, please, you know why we have to do this. You have to put up with this right now. Like, our way didn't work. We went in there and we couldn't drag them out with us. You need to, keep... I was like, that's a nice little detail. I like that detail, that yellow dragon wants to come out and hurt Suwon as well. And the funny thing is that after all this, or the ironic thing, is that, so Suwon is like, well, I'll pull the sword out if you start negotiating with me. We're gonna have words sort of idea. This is the sort of badassery I wanted from Yona when she said, I'm challenging the dragon gods right now, Zeno, and I'm done with this shit. And she went in there all badassery and was not badass at all during the entire segment, really. But this is the type of shit that I wanted to see Yona do. How you and we will have words, Suwon stands there, nonchalant. Zeno takes the attack and stuff, and it's like, are you alright and stuff? It's like, well, thank you. Pulling out the sword right now isn't an option. It was a bluff and a gamble. Zeno also thinks, like, he's playing a gamble with everything right now, but he knew that I would jump in to protect him, or he predicted that. So that's why he didn't even hesitate to not remove the sword at all. And as I said, it's very funny. He said, the treatment you give to the Crimson Dragon King and to his descendants is really like night and day. Basically pointing out that, wait a minute now, you have more fondness and all this love for this corpse and Yona, but as a descendant, a true descendant, you care nothing for me. Just pointing out the hypocrisy right then and there. And it's like, okay, Suwon, once again, stealing this chapter's show in the best of ways. That's why I don't dislike the chapter. I just think the first part of the chapter felt so damn clunky, and something that should have been the star of the chapter was stolen by something else. Written perfectly well here with Suwon and Zeno. It's awesome. And he's just like, well, if, we're going to negotiate, otherwise I'm going to keep stabbing this fucking thing. So, let's talk, you know what I mean? So he says to Zeno, alright, well, they're obviously not in the mood to talk yet. Can you hold up? And Zeno stands back up for eternity. And I'm like, yes! So this whole scene in the middle of the chapter, a majority of the chapter, is well written. It's awesome, and I like it. It makes sense, everything's plot relevant, it's cool. It just takes away from something that should have been more major than this. That's a bit of an issue for me. But then we jump back to Hawk and Yona for the final few pages. Basically, Hawk confirms that he knows Suwon better than anybody, which we already knew. And he's like, Suwon must be up to something, that's why that's happening. We need to go and find the other dragon so we can get the hell out of Dodge, right? And that's where he's like, he's created this opportunity for us, so we need to go find them. Now, for Hawk right now, who's once again still the miasma of the place, I'm just calling it the miasma of the place, she sees this as this white void of an area. He doesn't see it like that and stuff, and says, wait, it's completely white for you? Because that's not what I see. I'm seeing the sea of blood that we've already been introduced to. Yona recognizes that, wait a minute, the three dragons have fallen, quote unquote. It means they're back in that pool. They're back down under the sea like we were all trapped in before. She pricks her finger. lets it drip down, and boom, it appears to her as well. And it's like, all right, so this is, we're standing on the sea of blood, and at the bottom of the sea, we don't know what's waiting for us down there, but we need to go down and get them. So Hawk, of course, says, if your role is to go get those guys, then mine is to come help you pull them the fuck out of here. And I'm like, okay, this is a little more organic. This is feeling a little more natural. And it's like, okay. And they say, yep, the two of us are going to go down. Let's go. Boom. End of chapter. Now, next chapters is skipping an entire month. We're not getting, we're taking a month-long break, and we're not getting anything until June 5th. But I think that's a good thing, because as I said, I think this was a little clunky, a little rushed, and I think the dialogue could use some improvement. I think paneling and some choices to rethinking the dialogue. So a month break is probably a really good idea right now for Yona the Dawn, in my opinion. As I said, just because for me personally, the big moments in Shojo are always the milestones of romance. And if you do that, if you don't handle that well, and you don't focus on it as your main takeaway from the chapters, that's an issue. Now, you could make the argument that last chapter was the moment, but we only got one page of it. You know? Like in most shoujo, it is a double page spread, gorgeous art just for a kiss. Right? So I'm just saying that we got one page at the end of a chapter, leaving us on a cliffhanger, and then focus on something else completely different 10 pages into the next chapter. Bit of a glaring problem. So even though we all love Yona the Dawn and we want to see more chapters as soon as possible, I think this break is necessary right now, and hopefully when 270 drops, it comes out swinging. Because as I said, the majority of this chapter is fine. Everything is handled quite well, and the Suwon and Zeno stuff is mwah, chef's kiss. But I have a problem that romantic stuff was a big letdown. Huge disappointment. It's almost like when you cast two beloved characters from a book and you're trying to do a film or series adaptation, and then they have the big love scene and there's just really bad music, there's no chemistry between the actors, and it's clunky. That's what this feels like to me. Like this was not cast well almost, or something, or it was George Lucas level of romantic dialogue, you know? Hayden and Natalie Portman had good chemistry. They were good on screen, but the dialogue between them in episode 2 and episode 3 of Star Wars was so goddamn clunky and so just dripping with flowery words. Like, it was so cheesy, right? And not in a fun way, not in a campy fun way. It was just bad. It's like, that is not how people in love talk. That is not how romantic people talk. That's not how a wife and husband talk. I'm like, so yeah, I think that's almost what just happened here. We know that this can be written really well, because for 269 chapters, the romantic aspects have been written quite well. So we know that that's not the issue. It's not a case of, okay, this is a really good writer writing a really good story and world building, cannot write romance. No, absolutely can write romance. We know this. 269 chapters has proven that, but right here, dropped the ball, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that this break will help, and 270 will come out swinging, and we'll get some more romantic scenes, of course, between these two once everything's settled, but more so just to move on from this point, you know, and a break is probably necessary. So anyways, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen, as always, here in the catch-up month of April. And we will be back here in June for chapter 270 of Yona the Dawn. Looking forward to it. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you had a great Easter, by the way, this month. Hope, you know, food, family, friends, everything else. And hopefully you guys can stand to wait to see my ugly mug back here in a month's time. So looking forward to it. Hope you guys and gals are as well. That being said, yeah, that's it. So yeah, see ya. Sayonara. Have a good one.